Welcome to the show where I don't know what to call it, but I have several options that I will be trying out, provided by you guys. A lot of you suggested something to do with visions, and weirdly enough, 2 of you suggested the exact same thing, which I am using today. Soon to meet the eyes. If you've got other suggestions, I'll put them on the list. Amazingly, this is one of the rare times where I was awake during the stream, so I saw the whole thing myself, and was able to take pictures. So thanks to all of my usual suspects and all the new people trying to help, but this time, I got it. But first, your likes! Please give. And if you enjoyed this video by the end and you aren't subscribed already, please consider it. So something that leaked a little early is the Transformers 1 Optimus Prime, who really doesn't look any different from Orion Pax in the movie other than he has a faceplate. But this still looks like a decently cool toy. However, 1, these weird little things on the sides of his knees annoy me something fierce. Like, I can't be the only one whose OCD screams at these. And 2, what is with the pre-yellowed plastic? This looks awful. This is the ugliest color I've ever seen. His face is a lighter gray, so what is with the rest of this puke pewter? And considering this is what it looked like when it was on the table in front of the guys, yes, this is not a lighting mistake for the promotional photography. It really does just look this gross. Also, those hip skirts look like they are really gonna get in the way. I would not be surprised if that's as forward as his thighs go. They're giving it a matrix, and some people have said that this is going to be the same one that we've been getting forever, but apparently it's slightly different, with these little flanges coming off the sides that peg into Optimus's knuckles. So, slightly different, and I guess that's one way to make it not useless, but it's just yet another one for the cereal bowl. What's funny is that the alt mode does look like a flat-faced Cybertronian semi, and I'm kind of not super into it. Normally this is exactly what I want, but I think this found a weird middle ground, where it's trying to look like a space version of his Earth mode while looking alien, and it's clear that it is trying extremely hard. The Siege version was just a cyberpunk semi. This, on the other hand, is a regular semi that's put on some crap to try and pretend it's not a regular semi. I don't hate it, it's just not working, I feel. Apparently, the entire line for Transformers 1 is going to be deluxes, as according to, I think it was Mark who said it, they just wanted to take it easier on people's wallets. I doubt that's the sole reason as to why Hasbro made that decision, but I still kind of appreciate it. At least my bank account does. I'm looking forward to this figure, I just hope they fix the colors before it comes out. Then there's Sideburn. What a turd. It's amazing how much they compromised Shadow Striker to make it look like Sideburn, and how little this actually wound up looking like Sideburn. Honestly, the level of fuck-up involved in this is just impressive. It's an ugly figure that barely looks like the dude, with below-average posing, a terrible transformation, and an alt mode that looks like ass. I'll admit it's a cool effect on the metallic paint they used for the alt mode. You all know how impressed I am by Shiny Thing. But this is pearls on a pig here. I am so excited to not have to waste my money on this thing. One of the few figures that came out since I started YouTube where I don't want it for my collection, and I don't even see the point in getting it to review it for you guys and have it for a retrospective at the end of the line. I know what the result is. It sucks. Stay away. Then there's the official reveal of Swoop, and I still hate this thing. I know last time I came off exceptionally petulant, crying about how this turned out. I was having a real bad day when I wrote that, and it affected the video. So yeah, I don't love how I came off, but I absolutely despise the way this looks. The Frankenstein platform shoes, the way too wide body, the flat-out wrong face. And this is what I don't get. There's probably more reference art of their faces than anything else. The close-ups of most of their heads tends to be some of the most consistent shots from the show. For the most part. What excuse do they have to constantly get the faces horribly wrong? It's like that's the point. Speaking of the faces, honestly, I think that Swoop's dino head is the actually worst of the two. That fucker just goofy looking. And is it just me, or is the gray plastic also kind of yellowed looking? Am I wrong, or is this yet another gross ass color? Look at the thighs compared to the shins. That's an attractive silver, and the other is cake frosting? I don't know. I'm just so bummed, man. The Dinobots have been so good for them to just stumble at the last possible second with a figure that looks this unready. And then the only excess accessories he's coming with is Grimlock's sword, so Slag and Sludge seem to need you to buy the Comic Colors Grimlock as well, which is still really cool looking, like really cool looking. Honestly, the blue on this thing is kind of working for me. Not so much on the thighs or the hands, but it's bringing out something in the head. Then there's the Rock Lord Nucleus, or whatever this thing was called, which might actually be correct because I guess for some reason he's based on Nucleon. I didn't know that at some point they decided that Nucleon was the color of milk, but okay. Am I wrong, or is this just so Super Sentai? On a scale of 1 to Tommy Oliver, this is a solid Mighty Morphin White Ranger. Even the alt mode looks like some kind of Zord, and you'll probably be able to combine these together into some kind of super form, so maybe I'm not that far off. Though again, this mold does a really bad job with the weaponizer gimmick. I even noticed the cleavage gap less on this thing, so maybe I'm into this more than the normal one. Then there's Cybertron Hotshot, and I think that this is kind of cool looking, and also really flawed. Like, I guess the giant piece of clear plastic hanging off of his ass is accurate. However, I think if you're a fan who wants that, you are actively insane. Oh yes, please, put a giant piece of breakable clear plastic hanging down in one of the most vulnerable places on the figure, somewhere that I constantly grab the figure by. That's sure to make it last into the future. And I do think that this is a certain cool look to it, but at the same time, the build is awkward. This picture from the side really shows how his shoulders are mounted way over his head, and his arms are exceptionally long. Plus, they look like they're jointed in like a half dozen places, like that one guy from One Piece that I can't be bothered to give a shit about. The colors are cool, the deco is cool, and from the right angles, this looks awesome. But there were several decisions I find very questionable. Then there is Vector Prime, and I know my Discord apparently hates this thing, calling it a giant ripoff, and I'm sorry. You are fully allowed to not like this thing. That's absolutely fine. There is never anything wrong with disliking whatever you do for whatever reason you do. But you are wrong to call this a ripoff. They have blatantly put a ton of money into this retool, a quite frankly shocking amount. Cybertron, while loved, is one of the least watched Transformers shows, and they have retooled this just about as much as they did the 86 Junkions. That's insane. No one knows who this dude is, and they've completely retooled the chest, the crotch, the head, the shoulders, and the wings. Plus, they've gone to fucking town on the deco. They are putting bank into this retool. Yes, not as much as if they gave it its own new mold, but they gave Hotshot his own new mold, and that wound up with some serious problems of its own. Meanwhile, this is getting an extreme retool out of one of the best molds of the last few years. Maybe it doesn't look as much like the character as you want it to, and I fully understand that, but you know the figure is going to be fun because G-Axis is very fun, and they're spending a lot of money. It's not a ripoff. Also, if you're worried about the way the wings look in these shots, they are literally mistransformed. You can see that while they were in the stream, they had them up behind the back the way they're supposed to go. You may not like it, but this is peak retool performance right here. The only thing I think is lazy about what they've done with this figure is the fact that they didn't retool away the bracket for the ankle wings. Really? You're just gonna leave that there? Okay. And the ship mode definitely looks more like a thing than G-Axis did. Lastly, there is the RoboSen Megatron, who, hey, I finally said RoboSen's name right for once in my entire goddamn life. Apparently this has a modern aesthetic, and by that they mean it's not a gun. This is heavily based on the Combiner Wars one, with lankier proportions, and if I have one criticism for this thing, it's that the cannon should spin around. If it did, this would look so much more like it's supposed to. Honestly, I'm way more into this than the Optimus, but that's probably just because this has tank treads, and those are always super cool to see trundling along. This is why I hate T-Cogs. We can make a robot that doesn't need one in order to transform and move, so why do hyper-advanced space aliens need them to do the same thing? Also, it being a cog implies that there is some kind of nightmare abomination transfer linkage between the T-Cog and literally every transforming part, which would multiply the difficulty of their bodies actually converting by literally millions to billions of times, to the point of making it literally impossible. T-Cogs are stupid. I don't care how long they've been a part of the lore, get them out of the franchise. The idiocy of their existence makes my brain hurt. Also, Masterpiece Jinrai has one of the worst backpacks in Transformers history. Good job, Takara! May your suck continue to find new levels even further beyond. You are powered up like Super Saiyan Suck. And before we go, it's time for the monthly shoutouts. If you'd like a shoutout yourself, just follow the instructions currently on your screens. But first, let's thank one of my patrons, and this time it's... I swear to God, this thing has a preference for the most recently added entries, even after I tell it to shuffle the order. Tiredhide, my newest patron, and long-suffering moderator of the main Discord server, and his favorite figure is Armored Topspin. And look, I can't argue with your reasons at all. It was your first Transformers figure ever, and that 100% makes it special. And I'll say that it looks like one of the better and more interesting Bay figures. Hell, as an armed-up NASCAR, as a wee lad, I might have been into this. Even if NASCAR is lame, fucking fight me. But man, the mullet causes me pain. Now the shoutouts. Okay, so is this a glitch in the Matrix? This is insanity. The first person to request a shoutout this month is Tiredhide. I did not cheat this. I did not plan this. This is just reality right now. Man, you either have used up all of your luck forevermore, or you need to go buy a lottery ticket right now. Tiredhide would like you to check out his YouTube, where he makes music, musical arrangements, and stop motions. I didn't even know you did any of this, dude. How have you never told me? He also would like you to check out his MuseCore account for the rest of his music. And despite the fact that this should actually be the last shout-out, I wanted to put it up front here because I figured that you should all know about the closest thing I've ever gotten to a sponsorship. My patron, False Convoy, has started his own business, selling knockoff Transformers and Gundams. Like the good kind, not the cheapo crap that you find at dollar stores. So, if you are looking for some upscaled Legacy Tarn action with a better paint job, or Rise of the Beasts Optimus Prime at all, because that thing is still unobtainium, then guess what? I'm not getting paid for this in any way, shape, or form, which is why this is the closest thing to a sponsorship I've ever struck. But if you use the code PerspectiveEnd at checkout on orders over $20, then you get 10% off, just because he wanted to do a solid for my fans. So if you want some KO formers, check out Deformation Station. Demonic Charcoal, otherwise known as Perspective Start, there may be more than one, I'm not sure, would like you to check out his YouTube, where he makes stop motions and Transformers AMVs. He's also planning on doing a full stop motion series and some short films. Transformers Buggie is back and after your subscriptions. Happy birthday in 2 days, dude, and check him out for some mad memes, stop motion, and big thanks to his friend Cosmo for helping him out with his channel. Congratulations to MCP, who has graduated from boot camp. Awesome work, dude. Hope it wasn't too harsh, and congrats on your dog having puppies. They are adorable. Check out his YouTube for videos of Doog and his social media for pics of toys. Giant Robot Enthusiast is making art of giant robots. Shocking, I know. And he has just finished his first issue of his Transformers fan comic, Spark Wars. Check out his Instagram and webtoons for that and his other fan arts. Ghosty wants you to check out his Spider-Man story, Spider-Man Helix. He would like feedback and criticism on it, so if you have some spare time, please send that to his Instagram. Admiral Hayden wants you to check out his YouTube, where he posts Ark Survival Evolved and Transformers content. Yellow Shirted Kid wants you all to know that Don't Break the Oath by Merryful Fate is the best 80s metal album of all time. That is all. Slivercube Studios wants you to give his YouTube and Instagram a look, where he makes any video he can think up, mostly AMVs, and where he posts all of his art, and here he sent his Combaticons. I love what you did with Vortex. Turning his nose cone into a peg leg and giving him a buzzsaw hand is a really fun idea. Kaon Reviews wants you to check out his Transformers review channel, where he's been plugging away at it for a long time, with over 400 videos to his name. He also sent me a link to a Facebook page which might be his, but I'm unsure since his message was mostly blank. Antimatter Comics. Illiterate Scholar has made a new channel for gaming content called Dinosaur Arcade. Love the name and the icon, dude. There he plans to do a Fire Emblem retrospective. He'll cover anything beat 'em up and dinosaur game, as well as post the odd game guide. Specifically, check his Sekiro guide. He wants to get that one to at least 1,000 views. Wart Werf wants you to give his friend's band a listen. Grave Shadow. I did myself, and they're pretty good. This is the kind of stuff that I used to listen to religiously when I was in high school, and it put a smile on my face. If you like metal with female vocals, this is probably right up your alley. Honestly, they feel like they came straight out of Metal Hellsinger. TroosterTube is going to do a voice reveal for 30 subscribers, and he plans to do something big when he finishes his Beast Wars Season 1 collection. And lastly, it's the return of the KingKyle, and this time he'd like you to check out his sister's beauty channel on YouTube, and as always, he's also looking to do commission work to help support his family. Here are his prices, so consider him if you have art needs. And that's not half of what I have to say, but it's enough of what I have to say. And I know, you know, what everyone else tells you to do at the end of these videos. So, if you liked what you saw here, please do that. And if you'd like to take it a step further, then please share this video with any friend you think may be interested. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me waste your time.